Thank you so much for joining me this afternoon for this webinar on Heritance Aarah. Heritance is our only property and client in the Maldives, and I've actually just returned from a stay at Heritance as part of my honeymoon, which was amazing. So I will probably, I definitely will kind of reference that quite a lot throughout the presentation rather than just sticking to our usual, which you can find on our YouTube channel and also on the Indian Ocean Hub as well, on the listing there. So I will reference a little bit about our recent stay, and actually also Anita, my colleague who stayed out here with her family back in February. So kind of talking about our experiences there as well. The webinar is going to be recorded. We'll be uploading that to our YouTube. It will also be uploaded to the Indian Ocean Hub listing on their accommodation hub too. So you'll be able to find it in a couple of different places to catch up on at a later date or to share with your colleagues. But for now, we'll jump in and we will chat about Heritance. So Heritance is located in the Aarah Atoll in the northern part of the Maldives. And to get here includes a seaplane ride. So we start off at the seaplane terminal in Heritance's private lounge. This is a really, just a really lovely extra feature that's almost a little bit unexpected. I mean, obviously knew it was here, but what's lovely is getting off that quite long international flight and being able to come here and chill out, especially if guests have a little bit of a wait. We only had about a sort of 45-minute wait here. We managed to grab a bite to eat. We chilled out in the aircon, which was quite nice, and also could stand and watch some of the seaplanes coming in and also landing. It's such a unique mode of transport to the Maldives, so it was really nice to have the opportunity to kind of get used to the idea before heading off on the seaplane. My partner's not the best flyer, so it was very nice, I think, for him to kind of stand out there and watch them all coming in and leaving and all of that. So nice sort of area to chill out in. You then hop on a seaplane and it's a 40-minute transfer. Our journey involved a quick stop at Juali, which is quite nearby to us, dropped off a few guests and then headed up to Heritance. So it did end up making it, I think direct, it's about 40 minutes. So it probably made our journey between 45 and 50 minutes. I think the seaplane sort of arrival is such an iconic way to arrive to a property in the Maldives. And I definitely think it's one of the benefits of staying in these outer atolls is that you have that included in you have that as an extra in your stay. And I think your kind of transit, as it were, ends when you arrive in Malé, and your kind of the activities and your trip begins with this seaplane. It's like an extra kind of activity or excursion, I always feel. So the property itself is split into beach and overwater villas, as is the case, I think, often throughout the Maldives, and we're a 50-50 split here. So we have 51 beach villas, 10 beach villas with a pool, and then we have 7 family beach villas. 2 of those have a pool as well. The family beach villas will look a bit more into the breakdown, but the family beach villas are a brilliant size for even slightly larger families, and so are a really, really awesome option. We've then got the rest of the inventory over water split into the ocean villas and the ocean suites, and then we have 1 ocean residence, which is our kind of most premium over water option. This is a map of the resort. All guests are sent this when they arrive, and so it's a really handy way to kind of orient yourself. Thankfully, it's not a very big island. You can kind of walk around the whole island. I'd say it probably would take about 40 minutes to walk around the beach all the way around if you were sort of walking quite slowly. So it's really easy to get oriented. There's a lot of signs around as well, so we kind of found our way around quite easily. I think definitely the way to find your way around the best is on foot. It's so easy to be kind of picked up and dropped off by golf carts the whole time, and that is when I found myself getting lost when I stayed here the first time. So you arrive here on this jetty via seaplane. and you're immediately greeted by your butler, who you'll be teamed up with throughout your stay. This is actually a photo of Anita and I on our trip a couple of years ago. And you're also greeted with this traditional dance and song, which is really lovely, and kind of immediately you get that sense of place and that kind of, you know where you are, you know you're in the Maldives. And so it's a really beautiful way to arrive. You're then whisked off to the main reception area, greeted with a welcome drink, and then your butler will kind of set you up on a WhatsApp group with them, and you will then have that form of communication throughout the stay. We were then whisked off to our room and actually then had dinner, and pretty quickly went to bed actually, because it was a little later in the day and we were pretty exhausted. This fact sheet is really handy. It looks utterly terrifying, I always think, when you sort of just flick to it in a presentation, but it's really handy. It kind of just showcases for you what the kind of features are of each villa. So this is a handy document to have, probably slightly awful looking at it in this format while sort of flicking through a presentation, but you will be sent that as part of the follow-up. So we'll deep dive a little bit into the room categories. So we start off with our beach villas. There are 51 of these. This is, I love a floor plan. I find them the most handy thing. In all of the villas, there is a daybed like this just here. This can be in any villa converted into a single bed. Now, at Heritance, there are no extra beds added into rooms. Cots is a different story, but single beds, we don't add in extra beds. So actually having this daybed is really handy, because we can convert that into a single bed, and you're not adding a piece of furniture into the room. You're not kind of making the room very cramped. Obviously, you are right on the beach, and you can walk straight down into the ocean. And what's really lovely is you've got all this beautiful greenery surrounding the villa. So it feels very private. You don't feel like you're kind of on top of each other, and it keeps that sort of screening really nice and private. All of the beach villas have got this gorgeous outdoor bathroom. This is the kind of little feature of the beach villas that you don't get if you're staying over the water. And I just absolutely love this space. This is a quick look at, is this going to work? A couple of my videos haven't been working, so if it doesn't, you'll have to tune into our social media when I get all of these videos posted. A couple of the iPhone videos haven't been working in the presentation. So that was just a quick look walking into one of the family beach villas. So we have the beach villas with pools as well. This is the exact same as the ones we've just seen, just with a pool just at the front of the villa there. And then we also have our family villas as well. So the family beach villas, we've got 5 of these without a pool and 2 with a pool. And really, it's super easy to remember. It's literally just 2 beach villas with this interconnecting space in the middle. What's brilliant is we've got the daybed in both rooms as well, again, so you can do up to 4 children in these villas, which is really handy. And then obviously you're right on the beach. You've got the world's largest swimming pool right in front of the villa, but for those guests who do want a pool as well, we have got the family beach villas with pools. Then moving into the ocean villas, these are the kind of entry into the overwater category. And as you can see, the layout is fairly similar to those beach villas. It's just slightly reconfigured for the overwater. And what's really cool is in all of them, you have this window in the floor here that's actually depicted just here, which you can see through into the ocean. And you can quite often see fish swimming underneath your room. This is a quick look at that in this video. And you have steps down into the ocean from your deck, and the water is a really beautiful depth. It's I could kind of just about stand up in the right off our villa, and it's the most perfect temperature. I mean, there is really kind of no need for a pool here, because you just have the most amazing flat calm water right off your room. We've then got the ocean suites. These are the more premium room category over the water, and these are actually adults only as well. So that is one thing to note, is that this whole section is adults only, which is really nice, particularly I think for those honeymooners. You've got that you've got that sort of extra level of privacy. This is a brilliant resort for families, but also you've got that that kind of adults only section as well. These are across 2 stories. So you have the living area downstairs and then directly above the bedroom as well. And there are actually 2 bathrooms here. Another difference is that you've got this little kind of kitchenette, and it actually has private access into the kitchenette area. So when things like minibar is being topped up, the staff can sort of let themselves in there. They will obviously knock. And then, as you can see, you've got this beautiful upstairs area. The view out from here is absolutely stunning. And you've got that second bathroom upstairs as well. Again, you've got the window in the floor here, so you can look through. This is actually an amazing spot for snorkeling right off your room. You can do this obviously with any of the overwater categories, but we are really close to a lot of the reef just here. So when we stayed a couple of years ago, Anita and I just popped our snorkel and masks on, went out for a swim, and we were immediately swimming on the most amazing reef with turtles. And so you have that activity at your fingertips the whole time. They're also the ocean suites also have their own infinity pool as well. Then we have our ocean residence. There's only one of these rooms, and this is a 3-bedroom overwater villa. Be amazing for a family. I also think it would be brilliant for kind of 2 couples traveling together. You've got 2 double rooms, one downstairs and one upstairs over this living area. And then there is a single bedroom just here. So this works perfectly for if you've, people traveling with teenagers who kind of want their own space. There's an extra bathroom here as well. And there's also a large dining area inside and outside. It is the most beautiful spot. You're right at the end of that jetty, so you have 180-degree views of the ocean, completely unobstructed. And again, you're really close to that house reef, so a really fantastic spot for people wanting to kind of snorkel off their rooms here. And then we move on to the dining experiences. So I think I was chatting to my partner earlier, and I was sort of saying to him, he's not in the industry, so it's really nice traveling with him and getting that idea of kind of what's really unique at Heritance, I think, or what really stands out from a guest perspective, because I obviously, live and breathe the property. So it's really nice to hear from someone else traveling with what the kind of really unique parts of the property are. And something that really stuck out to him was the dining here. There are 6 restaurants on the property. They are all of an incredibly high standard. I think pretty much every day we were like, oh, this is the best meal we've ever had. And then the next day it would be trumped by something else. And so you are having this most incredible culinary experience throughout a stay here. And it's kind of something that you expect to have great dining, but I think this completely blows so much else out of the water when it comes to the food. We kind of really felt like we were dining in kind of fine dining restaurants every night of our stay, and every day at lunchtime and at breakfast. So it really is an incredible culinary experience just in the most beautiful setting. So I'll move through the restaurants, starting with Ranba Restaurant. This is our buffet restaurant. It's open breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It obviously changes throughout the day, and it is an incredibly high standard, really big variety of food here. And what's really lovely, I think what we really noticed throughout all of the restaurants is there's that option of whether you want to go sort of lighter or have something a bit more hearty. And we really appreciated that. I think from the kind of the volume of food that you can possibly consume here. I mean, by the end, you practically had to roll us onto the seaplane. But what was really lovely is you have that choice of having those still amazing food, but just a little bit lighter, which is really nice. And you can kind of control that, I think, a bit more at Ranba. Then we have Raleigh Restaurant. This is open for brunch. So for anyone who kind of misses breakfast, ends up sleeping in, then Raleigh does a kind of brunch menu here, and then lunch and dinner also. This was actually our first lunch was here. This is me, and this was our starter just here on the left, and we both said this was like one of our favorite meals we've ever had, and it was like day 1, and I just was thinking, gosh, we're really getting ahead of ourselves here, but the most beautifully cooked mahi mahi, at Raleigh restaurant. And actually when we left, we kind of were going through what our favorite foods were, and that one really still came up. And I kind of was like, well, it's just lunch, you know, surely it will top it at some point. And so at Raleigh, you've got that kind of Mediterranean fusion, really amazing seafood there. I mean, throughout the property, the seafood is incredible. And you'll probably see from my own photos that we really made the most of that because we both absolutely love seafood. So guinea fatty comes in nicely there. It is a kind of seafood barbecue style restaurant here. We had the most amazing, again, I'm pretty sure we had mahi-mahi, it might have been tuna, and these beautiful, enormous prawns, which were just incredible. And so again, just another amazing dining experience. And I just loved the setting here. This is one of my favorite settings, sat with your feet in the sand. We were right next to the water. And it just really, that kind of feeling of kind of taking your shoes off and eating dinner with your feet in the sand is just one of my favorite things. Then we have Ambula Restaurant. This is the most award-winning restaurant at Heritance, and it's a kind of Sri Lankan Maldivian fusion, the style of food here. It comes in the form of a sort of 8-course tasting menu. It is an incredibly high standard here. It reminded me a lot of fine dining experiences that we have had in Australia, in European restaurants as well. It was an incredible fine dining experience, and matching wines throughout as well, which was really, really, I mean, I love wine, I love matching wines. And so this experience is absolutely one of the best, and this is included in your stay. So I can't remember if I mentioned at the beginning, but it is a premium all-inclusive offering here. So, you know, these restaurants, all those that I've mentioned so far, are included in a guest stay. So you have this just included, and the most amazing dining experience here. This is just a couple of the courses, and we just were blown away. Each one came out and was our new favorite. We then move on to Hatha Restaurant. Now, Hatha is the only restaurant throughout the whole property that's not included. And the reason being is you can see here the size of it. There are only 12 seats here at any one time. And so it does come at a supplement per person. And that's simply because it can't be guaranteed for any guest due to the small size of the restaurant. That being said, when you arrive, I mean, we just said to our wonderful butler Zineb, we said, please, we would like to dine at every restaurant, please book us in, whether it's at lunch or dinner. And so she organised our itinerary for us and got us a table at Hatha for our last night, which was amazing. I actually didn't manage to get any photos. We sat chatting with the manager this evening, and I just completely forgot to get any photos, but I think I've got a good one in here from my last day. And then Barney Restaurant is just included for those Ocean Suites guests. So other guests on the island are absolutely welcome to dine here at a supplement, but it is exclusive really to those Ocean Suites guests. It's an adults only space as well. And it does just the most amazing, really delicious, fresh seafood. It's in the most beautiful location. So we dined here for a lunch, and you're just right here. I mean, out on the water, on a jetty over the water. And again, you can see that we kind of just really made the most of that delicious seafood throughout our stay, and really light, delicious, fresh salads. And really beautiful interiors here. I absolutely love the design in this restaurant in particular. And then there's a few extra kind of dining experiences. Floating breakfasts, great for guests staying in those villas with pools. It's a very lovely kind of honeymoon experience, or kind of quite fun for a family as well. That's Anita and I experiencing that a couple of years ago. This is the great photo of Hatha Restaurant from when Anita and I dined here. As you can see, it's that kind of teppanyaki style kind of Asian street food, and it's a real spectacle. It's a real performance, and so it's definitely a kind of must experience for those guests who are happy to pay that extra supplement. And then you can also participate in Sri Lankan cooking demos and cooking courses as well. So this was from mine and Anita's stay, and we actually ended up taking home some of the recipes as well, which I think I sort of slightly butchered in my kitchen a few times. So then moving on to the bars. So we have 5 bars on the property. These are generally kind of associated with a restaurant, with a couple of exceptions. So Bandy Bar is our kind of main bar. It's the main pool as well. And what's really lovely about this spot is that in the evening, this is kind of where you can come for drinks after dinner, and it is quite social down here. So throughout our stay, we really noticed that it is a very private place, a lot of couples, a lot of honeymooners, and naturally wanting their privacy. We are quite sociable, and so it was really nice to be able to come down here after dinner and grab a cocktail and chat with other guests as well, because that was generally kind of what it felt like the vibe was down here around the bar. So and then in the day, you can have kind of snacks and pizzas and things at the bar here and by the pool. So it's kind of almost another restaurant as well. Particularly, I think for those guests who are here with families, you can just order a few pizzas and no need to kind of get dressed and go off to a restaurant for lunch. You can just chill here. We then have Sky Bar. Now this is at Ambula Restaurants. This is above Ambula Restaurant, that tasting menu. And it's the perfect spot for a sundowner before heading down for that tasting menu dinner. Beautiful sunsets from up here, amazing cocktails as well. We then have Udra's Infinity Pool Bar. This spot is actually associated with those ocean suites, and so it's an adults only area, and it is only available to those guests staying at the ocean suites. And what's really lovely about that is that it's kind of a communal pool, but it's adults only, so that the main Bandy Pool Bar, kids are likely to be there if they're staying in the resort. And so this area is really lovely for those honeymoon couples or those couples wanting that kind of adults only area. We then have Farley Bar. So Farley Bar is just opposite Barney Restaurant, and is the most beautiful spot for a sundowner on these lounges, and also for after drink dinner. They actually specialize in whiskies at this bar. You can obviously get other drinks as well, but the bar staff here really know their stuff about whiskey, so it's a really nice spot for a post-dinner drink. And then Raleigh Bar and Lounge. This, for me personally, was my favorite spot for a sunset. The sunset directly in front of the bar, and it was a beautiful spot to watch a storm roll in. We had some pretty epic rain while we were here, just in the evenings and overnight, and it was a great spot to sit and have a sundown, and you could watch those clouds roll in, which we just loved. And they actually specialize in rums here as well, so the bar staff really know a thing or two about rum. Personally not a rum drinker, but fantastic for those who are. And then this is a look at just, amazing cocktails throughout, amazing mocktails as well, actually, which was really appreciated. It was very hot, and so really nice to have something non-alcoholic at lunch, but a bit different and just really delicious. And then moving on to activities. So my partner and I are very active, and we get bored quite easily. So we actually, when we arrived, put together a schedule of exactly what we wanted to do, and we actually sent that straight to Zineb, our butler, and she was like, "Oh my God, this is amazing." She was like, "Great, I'll book it all in." And she was fantastic at kind of getting us booked for everything. But we kind of really wanted to make the most of the activities, and actually ended up having to write into the schedule relaxing time so that we remembered to do that. But starting off, of course, water sports included our stand-up paddle boards and kayaks. They also have clear kayaks here as well, which are really cool. When you're paddling out, you can sort of see the fish swimming underneath you. And then, of course, there are other motorized water sports that come at an extra supplement. Snorkeling and diving is amazing. So snorkeling, you can literally head to the water sports centre, get a snorkeling mask and keep that with you throughout your stay. And you can just pop them on and go off for a swim and a snorkel really whenever. The diving is also incredible. So we actually did a dive while we were here. And what was the most amazing thing about it was that we jumped on the boat, and we basically sort of boated past these the ocean suites, and then pretty much stopped there. And I was thinking, oh my God, we're so close to the resort. And we jumped out, and it was like being in a fish tank. It was incredible. The reef was stunning. We saw We saw eagle ray while we were out there. We saw the most incredible, huge shoals of fish, and that was literally right by the resort. And we were out for just under an hour, and we sort of floated along and sort of back closer to the resort, and then hopped back on the boat. We were literally 2 minutes, or a 2-minute boat ride, then back to the dive centre. So it was an absolutely incredible experience, and I would definitely recommend it. They actually do include for all guests a 15-minute introductory dive. So you can go out if guests particularly have never dived before, and have a go, learn about the kind of breathing and all the kit and everything. And it kind of gives guests who may be a little bit apprehensive the opportunity to test it out, learn how to use the equipment in the lagoon right next to the dive center, so that then when you jump on the boat to head out, you feel confident and you don't kind of panic, because I think particularly sometimes with that equipment it can be a bit scary, and so that's really nice that that's included. It can also be used as a kind of refresher dive if we've got guests who are PADI certified but could do with a bit of a refresher, then they can absolutely do that, use it for that as well. There's a whole recreation centre. We've got a games room, we've got snooker, we've got table tennis. There's actually a room with video games as well. You might not want to tell kids about that. And then there's also a gym. This is all in the kind of one area. The gym is actually incredibly well equipped. We did make use of this because we were eating just so much. It was quite nice to kind of work that off a little bit in the morning. And it is a really well equipped gym, and just kept in absolute pristine condition as well, which we really noticed. And then we've got tennis, badminton, and paddle tennis courts as well. So we actually booked the paddle tennis, and what was great is the guy at the recreation centre kind of helped us. We'd never played before, so helped us kind of understand the rules, understand kind of how to play, and then we really got into it and actually had the court a few times during our stay, and absolutely loved it. You certainly don't have to be out here for long to build up a sweat, because it is outside, and it was I've always been absolutely rubbish at tennis, and it was much easier to pick up, and just really great. And I know it is taking off globally, so it's really nice to have that opportunity to play here as well. With brilliant kids club here, really big. I mean, when we were here, it was much quieter because we're outside of school holiday season. But this area just absolutely lights up, particularly during those peak months, and is a really beautiful, huge space. It's open throughout the day. The only thing we don't do here is meals. Guests will have to take their children out for meals to the restaurants, and that's simply from a hygiene and also an allergies point of view. And a really cool outdoor space as well. Lots of trees. I noticed that this is actually a bit more covered than in this photo. I think this photo was taken quite early on in the resort's kind of time. And this area is a lot more shady actually now, which is really nice, particularly because it's quite warm here all the time. We have a Medi-Spa on the property. The most insane abundance of treatments you can have here. We had a massage. It was fantastic. Both massage therapists were brilliant. And it is just the most serene experience being over the water. You have a window, a bit like in the Ocean Suites and the Ocean Villas, to look down during your treatment. I think I was probably asleep during mine. I don't think I looked through that, but also just an incredible abundance of treatments, and it's more like a kind of wellness center on the whole than it is just a spa. So we'll definitely send through all the information about the spa and the different treatments that guests can have here. There are daily activities. Guests have, depending on the length of stay, it kind of changes depending on your length of stay, a certain number of activities included in their stay. So we do sunset cruises, we do sunrise fishing, so guests can go out and line fish. And there's also a dolphin excursion as well, so you can head out on the boat to find dolphins. So, I mean, generally, you see dolphins out on that excursion. The line fishing is quite good fun. We did it during the day, and actually it was quite a good wet weather activity because we had a bit of rain that day, and so it was a really nice way to kind of also understand a little bit about the culture and the reliance on fishing in the Maldives. We chatted with the guys on the boat and really got a great insight. Didn't catch a huge amount. I think maybe the whole boat we caught maybe 2 fish. I don't think we were feeling very lucky that day. But that leads me on nicely actually to the cultural activities. And I think what Heritance does really, really beautifully is those cultural touch points that you get throughout the resort. So you obviously it's that kind of traditional thatch in the design, and I really love that. I think it kind of, especially when you see the traditional, I mean, it's it's not made of the original material. I can't remember what it's made of, but it kind of gives that real feeling of where you are. And then also throughout the island, we've got the Maldivian village, which is set up kind of in the middle of the island, and it's quite well hidden. And so we actually viewed it during our site inspection. Unfortunately, the actual activity wasn't on during our stay because they only do this once per week and we missed it. But Anita and her family actually did get to experience this. And they, let me just turn that down slightly. They actually showcase some of the traditional, the traditions of the Maldives, you know, the food, the start of tourism in the Maldives, and they talk about kind of what life looks like in, you know, traditional Maldivian villages, or at least certainly what it used to look like. And this is a really interesting insight. I think it's really easy to arrive somewhere like, you know, Heritance, where it's a luxury resort on an island. You could be anywhere almost, and so it's really nice to get those cultural touch points and to understand a little bit more and get that sense of place. There is also a local island tour as well, so guests can head over to the local island. This does come at a supplement, and it does require a minimum number of people as well, but it's a really nice activity to again get an idea of what life actually looks like in the Maldives when you're not just staying on a 5-star island. And what was lovely is when Anita and I did this a couple of years ago, we actually got shown around by a lovely gentleman who's from the island, and we met his mum and his sisters, and we saw his home, and he took us to the school and also the mosque as well. And so it was just a really lovely way to kind of get an understanding about what life is actually like in the Maldives. A quick look at sustainability as well. We've got lots of documentation on this, which I can send. We have some great sustainability accreditations, and the resort it is a green rated, the building, and so when it was built, they built it in line with the green rating. We also, there's lots in terms of the waste and how the waste is treated. It's something you have to think about anyway on an island, naturally, but things like all the food waste is composted and then it's used to feed all that beautiful lush greenery that you see throughout the island. The resort is 30% energy efficient and does partially run on solar. And also the hot water is generated through heat recovery from the generator. So everything is kind of being thought of here, and this is something that is constantly being built upon and constantly growing as the resort kind of establishes itself. This is a quick look at the rates. The rates are on contract, so this is kind of a sort of brief look at a kind of entry-level price point for each of the villas, or kind of a ballpark, particularly when we're looking at some of the incredible special offers that Heritance has for the different markets. Definitely, depending on where you are located, please have a look at the offers that Heritance has got out there at the moment. They usually have some really great ones running. I know for the UK market, we've got some brilliant offers running for the next sort of 6 to 12 months. So definitely have a look at that. But this is just kind of a quick look at what the rates are per villa. And I think that is me. I don't think I've missed anything. I think what, just to wrap things up, I think particularly from our perspective and from my recent trip, some of the things that really stood out is the kind of amazing attention to detail from the staff here, and how looked after we really felt throughout our entire stay. I think having that butler and that person on hand to kind of take care of things for you is really appreciated, and it meant that we kind of managed to squeeze in absolutely everything that we wanted to do while we were here, from the activities to the dining, to making sure we kind of had a site inspection and saw everything, and so having that person on hand on WhatsApp was really appreciated. And actually what was really nice is one evening we were walking back from dinner and it had just started to rain, and we did have an umbrella, and Zineb just happened to sort of whiz past, and she sort of reversed back and said, "Would you like a lift?" And so just things like that just made us feel really looked after. The dining throughout our stay, I've mentioned it, I'll mention it again, absolutely incredible. I mean, really, I think I knew how good the food was, but this really drove it home for me. This trip really showcased it again, and it's always nice to have that little reminder. I think for Dan, my partner, he kind of hadn't actually really, I think, expected the food to be of the standard that it was, and he was absolutely blown away by just the fact that we were eating essentially at a fine dining restaurant every night, no matter where we were in the resort. And so that's something that really stuck out. I think also the absolute abundance of activities. This is not somewhere that you have to just be laying on a beach all day. Absolutely. I mean, we scheduled that in as an activity because we knew we had to remember it. But there is so much to do here. I think that's why it lends itself really well to a family location as well. I know when Anita stayed here with her family, they were so busy the whole time, and I think that's just brilliant. There is certainly going to be no boredom at all during a stay here. But I think that is everything from me. Please do pop any questions you might have in the Q&A or in the chat. I would love to hear from you. And thank you very much.